The morning before my sister's wedding, our driver told me to hide. Not metaphorically, not jokingly. He pulled the car over on a quiet stretch of road and said very calmly, "Lie down on the back seat. Cover yourself with a blanket. You need to hear this." I laughed. My name is Eila. I'm the older sister, the responsible one, the dependable one, the one who paid deposits when my father's business temporarily struggled. I was driving to finalize floral payments for my sister Amaya's wedding. I was exhausted, proud, and completely unaware my life was about to split in half. "I'm not hiding in my own family's car," I told him. Rafi didn't smile. He's been our driver for 11 years. He watched me grow up, drove me to university, picked me up the night my ex left me crying on a sidewalk. "Missa," he said quietly. "Please trust me." Something in his voice wasn't dramatic. It was protective. Reluctantly, irritated, I slid down and pulled the blanket over myself. 30 minutes later, the car stopped outside my parents' house. Doors opened. My father's voice, my sister's laughter, and then, after tomorrow, she won't suspect anything. My name. They said my name, and I stopped breathing. I stayed perfectly still under that blanket. The fabric smelled faintly of leather and Rafi's cologne. My heart was pounding so hard, I was terrified they would hear it through the car door. "She transferred the final amount last night," my father said, casual, almost bored. "After the wedding, we'll move the accounts." Amaya laughed. That soft, delicate bride laugh she'd perfected over the past year. "I told you she'd do it. She has a hero complex. She needs to feel needed." Hero complex. That's what they called it. For context, I funded 70% of this wedding. The venue deposit? Mine. The designer Lena? Mine. The emergency venue upgrade when Amaya cried about aesthetics? Mine. I even co-signed a temporary loan for my father's business 3 years ago that I quietly ended up repaying myself because that's what older daughters do. We hold the structure up while everyone else decorates it. But this wasn't just about money. 3 months ago, I had asked to see the business statements tied to the loan I repaid. My father brushed it off. After the wedding, he'd said. Every difficult question in this family got postponed until after the wedding. Now I knew why. "We'll freeze her access once we transfer ownership," Amaya added lightly. Transfer ownership? My stomach dropped. Transfer ownership of what? And then my fiancé's name entered the conversation. "Armin already signed," my father said. Silence. Not from outside the car, from inside my chest. Armin. My Armin. The man who held my hand when my mother had surgery. The man who said, "You carry too much alone, let me help you." Amaya's voice softened. He said once the wedding is done, it'll be cleaner. No drama before mine. Cleaner. Like I was paperwork. I could hear shuffling, car doors closing, footsteps moving away. Rafi didn't start the engine. He knew I needed a second before I could breathe again. Signed what? My mind rewound violently. 2 months ago, Armin had asked me to sign a temporary restructuring document for tax optimization. I trusted him. He worked in finance. He explained it calmly over dinner. I skimmed it. I signed because love doesn't expect betrayal in fine print. My father continued, voice lower now. After tomorrow, Eila won't control the company's shares. Armin will, through Amaya's husband. Everything clicked like a gun being loaded. The loan I repaid, the business I rebuilt during COVID, the shares that were temporarily under my name. They weren't just using me for a wedding. They were stripping me of ownership. And the worst part? They planned to do it the morning after I helped my sister walk down the aisle. I pushed the blanket off. "Drive," I told Rafi. My voice didn't shake, but something inside me had just gone cold. The wedding was a masterpiece. Crystal chandeliers, imported orchids, a string quartet playing softly under gold drapes. Guests kept complimenting my father on how well the family had recovered financially. I smiled. I even fixed Amaya's veil before she walked down the aisle. "None of this would have happened without you," she whispered. I almost laughed. The real humiliation didn't happen privately. It happened on stage, after the vows, after the applause. When my father tapped his glass and called me forward. "Eila," he said warmly into the mic, "the backbone of this family. The crowd clapped. He continued, "As part of our growth, we're proud to announce that our family business is officially transitioning leadership to the next generation." A screen behind us lit up. Documents, photos, a smiling picture of Armin signing papers beside my new brother-in-law. Effective immediately, my father said, ownership has been restructured. I hadn't been told. I hadn't been consulted. And then Armin stepped up beside me, put an arm around my waist, and whispered, "Don't make a scene. We'll talk later." The crowd applauded. They thought this was celebration. They didn't see the contract timestamp, signed 2 days ago, backdated to my digital signature. That's when I realized they hadn't just betrayed me. They had forged me into their exit strategy. And they thought I'd stay quiet. I didn't make a scene. That was their first mistake. I smiled for the photos, toasted the bride, danced once with Armin while he whispered damage control in my ear. "It's temporary. It's strategic. You're overreacting." I nodded like a woman who believed him. Then I went home alone. Pain doesn't always explode. Sometimes it organizes. I sat at my dining table at 2:14 a.m., heels kicked off, makeup still on, staring at the digital copies of every document I had ever signed for that company. They thought I skimmed. They forgot who rebuilt their collapsing accounts during lockdown. They forgot who handled vendor negotiations. They forgot who quietly insisted on dual authentication access to every operational account for efficiency. Me. By 3:02 a.m., I wasn't crying anymore. I was mapping. The restructuring gave Armin controlling shares. But operational liquidity, vendor contracts, deferred tax liabilities, those were tied to transitional clauses. Clauses I inserted 3 years ago. Clauses that required my written authorization for transfer of active vendor relationships. No vendors? No supply chain. No product launch next quarter. No valuation. They didn't steal a crown. They stole a shell. And the best part? The announcement had been public, which meant investor confidence now hinged on performance. I picked up my phone and drafted 3 emails. One to the top supplier, one to the regional distributor, and one to the investor Armin was courting. Subject line, regarding structural clarifications before Monday. I wasn't going to scream. I was going to let the architecture collapse. Quietly. On schedule. Monday morning, 9 a.m. Their first official board meeting under new leadership. I wasn't invited. I didn't need to be. At 8:42 a.m., my first email was opened. At 8:47, the supplier replied, "We were unaware of ownership transition. As per Clause 7b, we require confirmation from original signatory before continuing shipment." Clause 7b. My clause. At 8:53, the distributor called Armin. I know because he started texting me. "Armin, what did you send them?" "Armin, answer me." At 9:02, I forwarded documentation to the investor. Clean. Professional. Please note, I have not authorized operational transfer until due diligence is conducted. Liquidity risk remains high. At 9:11, my father called. I let it ring. At 9:14, the investor pulled out of the Monday announcement. At 9:20, shipment was frozen. At 9:27, their valuation dropped before it even stabilized. And at 9:31, my office doorbell rang. Armin. He looked different without a microphone and applause behind him. "What are you doing?" he demanded. I leaned against my kitchen counter, coffee in hand. "I'm protecting my assets." "You're sabotaging us." "No," I said calmly. "I'm exercising the rights you forgot I still have." His jaw tightened. "You're going to ruin the family." I smiled. They tried to erase me. Silence stretched between us. Then I said the one thing he wasn't prepared for. "I haven't even started yet." And this time, he believed me. They didn't collapse instantly. That would have been merciful. They unraveled. By Wednesday, 3 vendors requested formal clarification. By Thursday, the bank flagged restructuring inconsistencies. By Friday, the investor publicly postponed engagement pending internal review. Translation: no confidence. My father showed up that evening. Not angry, desperate. "Eila," he said, standing in my living room like a guest who didn't recognize the house anymore. "We can fix this privately." "Like you fixed it publicly?" I asked. He flinched. Amaya didn't come. She sent a message instead. You're ruining my honeymoon. That one almost made me laugh. Armin tried a different tactic. He came at night. No aggression, no arrogance, just exhaustion. You're making this bigger than it needs to be, he said quietly. I looked at him for a long time. Did you love me? I asked. Or did you just position me? He didn't answer. And that was my closure. By the end of the week, emergency board sessions were called. Legal teams involved. Questions raised about document timing. They didn't realize something crucial. I never accused them. I simply asked for audits. And audits don't scream. They dissect. By Sunday, my father's lawyer reached out. Eila, we'd like to discuss a settlement. Settlement. Interesting word. Because I wasn't negotiating out of emotion anymore. I was negotiating from leverage. And I had one final move left. One they would never see coming. The settlement meeting was scheduled for Tuesday at noon. Neutral office, glass walls, corporate politeness. My father, his lawyer, Armin, and me. They expected numbers. They expected compromise. They expected me to demand my shares back and quietly return to the corner they had assigned me. Instead, I slid a single folder across the table. I'm not here to reclaim control, I said calmly. I'm here to exit. Confusion flickered across their faces. Inside the folder was a buyout proposal, fair valuation, clean transfer, immediate liquidity requirement. And attached? A compliance report I had quietly filed the previous week. Not against them, against the structural irregularities in the backdated documents. I hadn't accused anyone. I had simply requested formal review from regulatory authorities. If I'm erased from ownership, I continued, my signature cannot appear on transitional authority. If it does, it becomes a legal inquiry. Armin went pale. My father's hand trembled slightly. You would destroy us, he whispered. I met his eyes. No, I'm choosing not to save you. Silence. Then I stood. Approve the buyout by Friday or let the audit proceed. By Thursday evening, funds were transferred. I resigned publicly. Investors reframed the narrative. Founder exits amid governance restructuring. Graceful. Clean. Controlled. Amaya texted once. Was it worth it? I didn't reply. Because this was never about revenge. It was about correction. They built a future assuming I would stay small. Instead, I left with capital, reputation intact, and something far more valuable, clarity. The morning before her wedding, they thought I was hiding under a blanket. They never realized I was listening. And now? I don't fund weddings anymore. I build empires. Alone.